you looking at any particular areas of the state right now where there's an unusual amount of activity? Any particular places that have hot races or hot budgets that you think have a higher percentage of possibility of going down or being passed?
I haven't identified specifically by a school district or by a county, but I guess in a general sort of way, I'd say if you're going out there for a spending increase or a tax levy increase of more than 5%, good luck.
Really? How many of those are there?
There's some out there. There aren't that many. Across the state, the average is only 3.2% tax levy increase.
But how much of that is a function of the state and how much of that is a function of local? I mean, the local electeds will tell you, oh, it's because of unfunded mandates that the state subsequently pushes down onto us. But how much of that is because of the state and the uncertainness of the budget that maybe school districts have been a little bit overcompensating in their taxes?
Well, I don't know about that. What I could tell you is that when you're going out with something that's over 5%, it's because you have some very specific local concerns. One, you might not have reserves.
Right.
Number two, you're highly dependent upon state aid, and you have been told that you're going to have a huge cut from state aid, millions of dollars in all likelihood. And you might, in fact, be a growing district, one that is having populations move in that have high needs, may not speak English, special education students. There could be a whole variety of things that force you to say, we're doing the best we can in cutting spending, but we're going to have to go out there with a tax levy.
Let's assume that, in fact, you are one of those districts and you do get your budget passed, and then subsequently the Assembly, or some semblance of what the Assembly has proposed, passes. The Assembly has proposed restoring some of what the governor wants to cut.
Right.
There's going to, I think it's a safe assumption that there's going to be some kind of deal that restores some portion of the $1.4 billion. Then you get the aid, more than you expected.
Right.
Now what do you do with it?
It gets complicated. Unless there is special language that accompanies the money, special legislative language that says, we are hereby giving you permission to use this money to restore programs, to bring people back who might have been laid off. We don't have, ironically, the ability to automatically do that. You put a budget before the voters, say, here's what we want to spend, and that's the amount you can spend, unless you get some special language from the legislature say, here's some additional money, you can use it differently. Otherwise, you're going to have to take that money and put it back into a tax levy, which is going to reduce the levy for the taxpayer.
Which they want, I'm sure.
Probably. Or into reserves to be used for a rainy day.
But the state controller has actually said that in the past, in audits, that state school districts, actually many of them have too high of a reserve, he thinks, inappropriately so. You don't agree, obviously.
Well, there are times when I think that due to cash management, cash flow, things like that, we might have had a situation where too much money was set aside. You are limited as to what you can have in unrestricted, undesignated fund balance of 4%. Highest you can have is 4%. There are other types of reserves restricted to for a particular purpose, and he has said you've got too much in those reserves. They're not actuarially accountable because you have too much in them, and you haven't had an actuary tell you that's what your liability is going to be.
So where will you be tomorrow when the vote comes in?
I'm probably going to be right here in town. Our offices are right here in the Albany area, and I need to stay close by.
Yeah, and we'll be calling you, I'm sure, for comment.
I hope you do.
Thanks very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Liz.